back, everybody, to episode 187. Perfectly.
Oh my gosh, this is I love when things like this happen.
Perfectly numbered for a brand new episode of The Lookout. I am Meelz, and I have officially reached the time skip part of One Piece. I am here with LJ himself. LJ, what's good?
Can we talk about the time skip instead of what we got to talk about today?
We can peruse around it.
I don't want to talk about what we got to talk about today because it would be
listen. This would be a great episode to talk about it because we also have another guest here, of course, AD, six man off the bench.
Hey man, listen,
Mister.
We need to talk about it. We got to talk about it. Hold on,
Mr. AD Portis himself.
Damn, bro, you talking my eyes funny, man? You know what I'm saying?
Can I keep it a buck with y'all? So I have not been watching on Netflix. I've been watching the One Piece version.
I mean, that's fine with me. Hey.
I'm just letting you guys know that's not totally kosher. I'm not watching every episode with a beginning, end, and no, we're not doing the theme music thing. This is the quickest way I can get through it. And honestly, it's been the best way to get through it. Like, all One Piece episodes should be maybe like 40 to 50 minutes long.
I don't even blame you. But how have you been enjoying it? Because I
get don't get me wrong, the amount of episodes is still ungodly and still a cruel and unusual form of like punishment. But I get the journey now. I get if you're part of it, you're very, very invested to this point, because I am very, very invested to this point. Got through Thorough Bark. Thorough Bark was okay. Impel Down was good.
What about Sabari? Like the Sabari?
So I liked it, but I'm a big fan of the entire crew. So this being very just Luffy based, still cool. I mean, the villains are also hilarious too. Like, I think they, with what's my man's name? Buggy, Mr.
3.
Yeah, like all of them are like all this stuff, and then including just the story with Whitebeard and Ace, and kind of getting to the moment. I always knew Ace died, but just like getting to the moment where Ace died is like, wow. So I think, and then like having to kind of like go through the grief that Luffy experiences, like really for the first time. It's been a journey. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't even lie. I look forward to when we can kind of like sit down and talk about all this stuff again. And then I don't know where I'm gonna begin. Was it? I think after the time skip is what, Fishman Island?
Yeah. It's the part that they're actually reanimating right now and condensing it.
Okay. Well, listen, I might be caught up then. Holy shit. I might be caught up. No. So I probably won't look at it for quite a bit because, of course, we're approaching the end of the year here at The Lookout. There's so much stuff that we need to watch, so much stuff that we need to go back towards. I'm still trying to find anime that I probably should watch for this list that we're coming up toward the end of the year.
Man, AD done fucked the whole list up with Storia.
Hey man,
the whole list got shifted. When you put me on that, with Storia I was just like, listen, my top 5 was pretty much solidified for the year. Then I watched that, I was just like, I gotta change everything.
Meelz, just to step into with Storia, it is one of the best magic-based fantasy anime that we have seen. Like, we're used to Black Clover and Mashal in recent years, but this is a lot more serious and grounded in what that setting could be like if a magicless person just trained their body and took a lot of shit seriously. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of great effects in the animation,
but it's magical plus like, because like I'm not a fan of magical really like that, but if you guys like it, I'm inclined to check it out.
I would say you will like it. For one, I am 1,000% sure they have to have the same music team as My Hero. First of all, like the music that hits during the big moments, you're just like doing push-ups and shit. Like, I'm like, why am I so motivated like right now? But no, I like it because I think in a lot of like the magical fantasy stuff that we've gotten, it's real like, all right, we got wizards and people with no magic, and maybe they'll add in like another extra thing like elves, but like this one feels like there's much more world building because you got dwarves in it and they play a role of like how they get their, you know, what their role is. You got elves, you got, you know, wizards. Is so I don't know. I like the fact that they're adding in other mythical things. You got things with the dungeon going on and other creatures down there. So yeah, Wisteria is one of those ones where I was just like, wow, this definitely messed up my list for sure.
Are we fully dubbed up?
Fully dubbed up, baby.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Listen, I'm all right.
And it's only 12 episodes,
which is even better. So I can definitely tap in. But again, we encourage you guys, if you're listening to this and there's some anime this year that has dropped that you feel like we need to definitely watch to be able to talk about it, or it definitely needs to be included in the end of the year conversation, feel free to hit us up to look out RNC on Twitter. Feel free to hit us up to look out RNC on Instagram. And just hit us up just in general. Like, hit us up on the side. If you're in our Discord, hit us up in the Discord. If you're not, just hit us up on Twitter, like, or anywhere else, to be honest with you. But yeah, we are working towards the end of the year, and our end of the year list in December. But with that said, we still got some business to kind of like figure out. And to be honest, if there was any week where the Death Note probably could have been used for a couple million people in this country.
See, now clip it.
I'm not personally saying I'm not saying I would use
he said it, not me. So all the Mr. Purveyor of violent stuff.
I'm not saying that I would use it, but I'm saying definitely should have been a possibility considering what you guys think. But
you gonna go to that voter website and never mind. Hold up.
Well, listen, man, we're gonna go to election results and type in all the counties and shit. You know what I'm saying? We going county by county. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Find one person in there and then make them commit mass murder. And then, all right, let me shut the fuck up.
Once again, with that, I want y'all to know that is not the voice of LJ. Jamal, whatever you know me as. All right, speaking of, all right, so Mr. Meelz TV. All right.
Well, since you're the voice here, explain to us everything that happened in the last part of what we talked about on the show, because we essentially took the first two parts of our recap to go over the first two parts of the first part of the series, like officially the first part of the series, and now we're in the second part of the series. What did we talk about last time, and how do you feel about it? Kind of like now, knowing that you've seen the end.
So last time on the Lookout, we talked about kind of the post, like the real Light and L battle.
Yeah.
You know, and we go after.
Well, there's it's team up now.
Yeah, it's team up time. You know, you know, it's the team up. You know, that you didn't expect. You know, it's like when a team from a person from the rival team gets traded to the other one, you're kind of like, you don't belong there, but like somehow we're here. So yeah, so essentially we get there, we kind of talk about L and Light working together. Light doesn't have the memory of the notebook anymore, so they're working together to catch whoever currently has the Death Note and is still portraying the character of Kira. And they're working together, they're figuring it out. The person who currently has the notebook is definitely not as smart and or savvy as Light was with it, and we come to this big, you know, it builds up to the final ending part of L's death and Light getting the notebook back and his memories coming back and him feeling that he solidifies this win. And this is when we are introduced to Near and Mellow.
Before we get there, AD, so this is let's talk about your history of Death Note. Okay. When did you first watch it? how did you feel about everything building up to this part initially when you watched it, if you can remember that? And kind of like, how do you feel about the series overall?
So I first watched it on Adult Swim way back in the day. I actually watched this alongside Bleach as like, that tandem running on Adult Swim when they first aired, way before One Piece or whatever. So I was actually a fan of Death Note before One Piece, if you could believe that.
Wow.
Um, that being said, like watching it back then, it was a lot of mind games. It was a lot of like trying to understand, like, why is Light doing this? Like, man, this man about to get caught. Like, I don't know how he can, do these things together with the police on his head, and he's just worming his way through, lying through his teeth, just trying to play the straight face, but like rewatching it, I've rewatched it since then as an adult, like at least 2 or 3 times within the last like few years. And just going back to it, it's really a lot deeper than that. To me, it's like, okay, watching Light, this person who seems to be somewhat perfect. He has like a good life, got good grades, got both parents at the crib, you know what I'm saying? Straight A's. And he just comes across this notebook, and his whole perspective on life kind of changes as he looks around him. And it's like, dang, man, like this world ain't really, straight, but I've been blessed slash cursed with this book, and I can really just like try to make the world a better place. And in comes L, who is kind of a foil to all the things that he's been doing. Like one of the things that kind of irks me about Light, not necessarily like Light for real, but it's like the way that he does things is like he's arrogant. He thinks that he can get away with stuff just because he's that smart. And when we first get introduced, or when he first gets introduced to L on the little TV broadcast to kind of like pinpoint where he is in the world, it's like, bro, all you had to do was just not kill nobody. You just had to sit there, let him talk his shit, not accept the challenge, and instead you killed a person on TV. And he's like, oh, we only showed this broadcast in one place, so that's how we kind of figured. Plus, with you killing these people who are in Japan, we kind of figured you were somewhere in this area because of the broadcasting and how things have played out with these prisoners that you're just like watching. He even pinpointed the fact that he was a student based on how he was killing. Like, bro, you could have you could have been a lot smarter about what you were doing. You could have been a lot more, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, you could have been a lot more secretive. If you were going to do this, man, you could have did this a lot better. But he had to try to cover his tracks the best way that he could. And when we get down to him getting to L, he had to do a lot of manipulation. He had to manipulate what's the name? Rem? Manipulate Rem into killing L for him. And he didn't get a chance to write the name down, but he said, fuck it, by any means necessary. We gotta get the W right here, So him erasing his memories was kind of it kind of showed that one, he didn't have any friends, he didn't have anybody who was like-minded to him in his life up until he met L, and getting a chance to see them kind of work together in this light, no pun intended, but kind of like working together in this way, you could see that like if he wasn't Kira, he would have been, they would have been a great duo to solve even more cases. Because with L, we kind of see like his background and the way that he thought about things, and like him giving back and giving thanks to, the orphanage that raised him with Watari, and just getting up to this point in his career, and how many people relied on him. He had the UN relying on him to solve these mass murders and kind of like eliminating the progress. Like even with
Right.
I want to say Light's dad. Like in my opinion, he wasn't a bad character. He wasn't a bad father. He believed in his son the entire way through. Like, of course, he had some things like,
He's a
bro.
terrible character, bro. I'm gonna let you cook. Go on.
The
Bro,
thing
his
about
character sucks. He sucks.
he does not. He's not
And
that
this
bad. He does
whole
not that
last
bad.
part shows what, like,
He's not that bad, bro.
He's not that bad as a like but he's like, to me,
like, no wonder crime was
when I
happening
think
there.
of what he added to the show, it really wasn't a lot. I think. Well, yes. I mean, you can definitely make that argument. No wonder crime was happening there. The chief of police was kind of like adult, like he kind of was. I
Bro,
say
it sucks.
Yes,
weird
but
hard.
no.
What happened?
I was like, yes, but no, because like when we got the beginning part, it was who could have had all of this information on all of these criminals in the police force, and it came down to Light, and I'm like, he as a parent, I could understand his perspective of like, I can't believe my son. Like, I raised him well. I raised him better than this. Like, where could I have gone wrong? Like, but even then, you just wouldn't have known that because of him. And that's like one of the things of like narcissism and serial killer kind of mindset, where it's like you don't know who it could have been. Like, even though you could have done everything you could, like even to the end when he made the deal with Ryuk to get the Shinigami eyes, and he could see that Light wasn't quote unquote Kira, and that he, you know what I'm saying? Like, I,
But
it's one of those things where it's like it's tough because he, as a parent, was like willing to die for his kids more than anything else. He was willing, like when Light's sister got kidnapped, he was willing to go risk his life to save her. While Light was like, I might have to kill my sister. Like,
I don't think, honestly, I don't think the dad had much effect on Light.
Bro,
Which I think was
He
supposed
did.
to be the whole. I think which was supposed to be the.
like.
Hold on. Let me finish.
Yeah, got you, big dog.
I think he didn't have much effect on Light, which I felt like was the majority of the purpose of his character. I feel like his character was really developed to add that kind of like to make you remember that he isn't fully just some evil kind of like super villain, that he is ultimately a kid. And I think that's why they brought the parents in. It's kind of like this grounding factor of like, yeah, this guy is a kid. But realistically, I don't think Light really made any like second guess decisions based on like whether he was disappointing his dad or not. Like I felt like the dad's entire purpose and what he contributed to the story, it's not that he was bad. I mean, he kind of like, this is the police. You kind of like, but he was like a body. I'm gonna keep it like that's how I legitimately felt. Like he was supposed to like ground him into the fact that yes, he used this child and all this other things like that. But none of Light's decisions. It would have been great if there was like some moral compass where he was like, maybe I shouldn't. Because usually at the end of the day, even if he thought that, he was like, nah, fuck it, whatever. We got to get the Death Note back. Like something along those lines. Like
but that's the thing. It's like, my bad.
No, go ahead. I'm finished.
It's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, I get that part, and that's just the perspective of, you know, Light not being influenced by his father more than anything. Like him being influenced by his father was mostly like, I want to one day join the police force. Like we got that kind of early on. It's like, okay,
but did he really? Like
he said he did. Like all of this changed.
He might have been just saying shit just to say it,
bro. Light doesn't touch. Listen, if Light doesn't touch the Death Note, he's an accountant.
Nah, he would have joined the police force.
Wouldn't have.
I mean, he's done police force work in the past, which is what I guess why they brought him on. But realistically, like a lot of these things that he said, especially to his dad, I can't really like gauge on whether he actually meant it, because he showed no remorse to his dad, nor did he care. But his dad was just as much of a tool in this as literally anybody else in the show. Misa, like all the people that he Light surrounded himself with and used, his dad was literally right there, and his dad didn't like it. It didn't really matter what his dad did, said, thought.
Also,
how
too,
emotional
like
he got.
The whole family dynamic just completely disappeared.
Yes.
As soon as his dad died, like we don't see the mom again, we don't hear about the sister again, like nothing. Like,
let me open this kind of like second part, kind of like officially. So this second part of it, kind of, and the reason why I say this, I'm not really a fan of this, to be honest with you, because the tone shift gets kind of crazy. It becomes like this Michael Bay fucking dramatic shit, and niggas got to run in with machine guns, and like it loses itself from the initial purpose of the show. And I think they wanted to go a little bit grander, and like LJ said, introducing Mello and Nier to the show, which to me, Mello low key, they forgot about him through like at least 5 episodes in this thing. Like he uses up to some point, and then he isn't seen for mad episodes, and then they're like, "Oh, we gotta kill him."
But then also too is like you can kind of tell they forgot about him because his reappearance is like this. He goes so overboard. Of like,
here's Mello to me.
It's like reappearance was like, all right, now we're finna kidnap this girl, and we're gonna, like it's so like out. It's like he rehashed the same plan that he did before, and it didn't work.
Here's the thing about Mello with me, man. Like, it was at this point where I was like, oh, okay, it's one thing to do the light, forget everything, and now he's working with L, and they saw how somewhat well that worked. But now with the second part, it's like, okay, now we have Nier, who's basically L 2.0, and Mello, who is essentially what could be Light. He's a little bit more brash, like he's a little bit more, emotional in his thought process, but he's not
like
dumb.
Hunter characters, if I had to be real.
Bro, yeah, he got that Dante from Devil May Cry fit on.
Oh yeah.
Like he's just, I don't know. It gets too.
Him and Misa are like top 2 like hot topic shoppers.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. They're definitely.
Well, all right, wait. I got to do, since we introduced new characters, it's got to be the running theme of this thing. What anime is Nier into? What anime is Mello into?
What's some edgelordy shit for Mello?
Nier? Oh, I was about to say.
No, Nier might be the.
Nier is into Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, like Nier. Like,
I can see that.
Yeah, he's a Yu-Gi-Oh guy.
Mello would be, I would say,
he'd watch some shit like
I feel like he's a Yu Yu Hakusho guy,
Yeah, I'm thinking like because he teamed up with the mafia, he's not really afraid of the kind of
he'd
thing.
Be watching shit like Gangsta and be like, this really deserved a season 2. This shit,
right. Maybe like a Black Lagoon. Maybe.
Oh yeah, he's a Black Lagoon kind of guy. A Great Pretenders.
Yeah. One of them.
Lupin the Third, maybe.
one of those. But they're definitely like, they try to bring up this dynamic that it's like this battle between them of who can kind of like solve this case first. But it really goes like, Mello, you get the first 4 episodes and then you're going to fail. And then Nier is going to pick it up and then he's going to actually do whatever he's actually supposed to do. The kind of like writing in the second half of this, to me, really kind of like
felt rushed.
And it just took away a little bit from the actual essence of like what made the story intriguing. Like, and I think it doesn't really get there until the final 2 episodes.
Nier would get one clue and then like automatically make like the perfect deduction and have all these 7 different things of how that one clue connects to everything. I'm just like,
well, I get that part kind of only because it's like, if I had to equate it to something, it's like L. It's like a jar that's hard to open, and L kind of like softened it up. Yeah. And then Nier kind of like comes in and he's like, "See, told you I could fucking do it."
Because L did most of the work in the beginning. It's like, okay, like it's all playing off of Light's ignorance on basically throughout the entire story. Like, Light doesn't know, half the stuff, but he's doing a reverse card because like it's really. They don't know about the Death Note. They don't know that Shinigami existed. So it's like
this part with Nier gets frustrating. I think it's just because Light's God complex just becomes unbearable. Like when he was going against L, like he still kind of had a sense of like self in a weird way. Like it's more of his own arrogance that got him popped.
But then another part about this part that kind of like irked me, and I know we're talking about all these things, and maybe I'll try to find some good stuff to talk about to kind of balance it out. But another part is that Light really doesn't really do anything.
Like, because things are happening to him a lot. It's like,
it's
from both sides.
But he's more orchestrating a lot. Like he's more he's sitting down in a hotel room and talking to what's her face. Like he gave the death note to someone else so he could commit murders. Like there isn't a lot of action that's going on where he's down. Like for instance, the first part of the story where he's following Ray Penberg, killing him immediately, killing his girlfriend, like smiling in their faces and stuff like that. Like you don't really get that. Whereas probably you would maybe want to. I don't even think he killed anybody in the second half, did he?
No, because he didn't
Like,
have the Death Note for real. He
yeah,
passed it off to Misa, and then like the other one got lost, and that other Shinigami came into Earth, and that's how
oh, that other
Mello got
Shinigami was
involved.
weird, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
First
But I
of
mean,
all the
go ahead.
Shinigami's weird. No, I was gonna say all the Shinigami's weird. Like,
Oh
it
yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah, I mean that too. Like then Ryuk going and suddenly now there's 3 of them because he done stole somebody else's shit.
Well, no, there's only 2 now. They killed Rem, and and then they brought in the other weird trash, like literally looks like trash, kind of Shinigami. But even still, like you said, like the Shinigami is supposed to be with what's my guy's name?
Mello or
no. I keep want to say Mizuki for some reason, but
Mikami.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Supposed to be with him, but he doesn't never ever really follows him. He just kind of stays with Light. But it builds. I think this first part, it gets into this mafioso kind of like, okay, Mello is joined with the mafia and they want the Death Note and they've kidnapped his sister, so now they have to give the sister. He can't let the sister die because then everyone's gonna be like, oh, you just let your sister die? That sounds like some Kira shit. So he has to go save his sister and give up the Death Note. So then he does that. But then they're like, oh, we got to recapture the Death Note. So instead of Light going in himself, his dad recommends, he's like, no, I'll do it. I'll get the Death Note. I was the one who gave it away. I was like, come on, bro. Stop making it about yourself. Come on. You didn't even have to go in yourself. You're the chief of police, or something. Like, send other people into this. But he goes in thinking he fucking Mike Lowry from Bad Boys and shit. And
I will get
he
the
run
Shinigami eyes. Ryuk, give me your eyes.
Yeah, runs up, gets done up pretty quickly. Yeah, he gets the Shinigami eyes. He's like, I'm moving.
And then just
how you got the
He could have wrote Mello's name right there, and that ends 90% of the battle.
Yeah, I guess the point of Shinigami eyes is you're not really even supposed to be up close and personal anyway. Like, you don't really need to be on the battlefield to be able to kind of like use it. You just need to be able to see the person's name so you could write it down. Which you could have done in a much more interesting way. But he runs up, like he says, he comes up with Mello and he says, I know your name is Mihail Keel. And he's like, oh shit. It's like, he's like, give me the thing before I write your name down. And then the nigga from the floor is like, I gotcha. Lights his ass up.
And when they say,
imagine dying and you have the Death Note. Like, imagine getting killed. Like, what a loser.
When they say his name, I just thought of the Halloween video. The girl with the little brother got the Michael Myers mask. It's like, this is Michael Myers. You ever seen that one? That's what I thought of his name as soon as I saw that.
Listen. And then fucking Mello blows up the whole headquarters. Again, this is some Michael Bay action. Like, none of this felt like so grand in the scheme of things. Where
Hold
this
on.
is usually go ahead, talk about it.
No, because here's the other thing. Like, before we get into all of that, the other thing with them launching the missile and having the helicopter like fly away, so they're like, which one do we got about?
Like, I'm like, what is going on here? When did this become a different movie, bro?
And they're like, which one can we follow? We can't track the missile. And then they blow up the helicopter.
And I think Sayu is like relegated to a wheelchair after that. Like,
yeah.
Like, come on. And then, so Chief Yagami, they managed to get him out of there. They recover the Death Note, but he's in the hospital. And Light is like, he can't see me. He can't know I'm Kira. Like, I can't. I guess that's the only little bit of remorse I'll say, is that he just didn't want, I guess he didn't want his dad or want really anyone to really see him as Kira. His dad would have definitely known if he were Kira since he had the Shinigami eye, so he had to give up ownership of the notebook to somebody else. So eventually when he does come face to face, he's like, oh, you're not Kira. Oh my God. I can find, and I'm just like, you died an idiot. Like you died,
and his death
blissfully ignorant. I'm gonna say that blissfully.
He died ignorant. Yes, he died blissfully ignorant. He did not
his
at
death
one
held
point.
No weight. There was no weight to his death.
No, I agree.
Like he died, like you said, just a blissful idiot. And
they back, chit chatting away.
Once again, you don't see
away
the mom,
like next episode.
The sister.
No, the mom definitely had they had a brief second where she's like grieving at the table by herself.
Yeah, I mean that. What I'm saying though, they don't become a part of the story since this point. It's not even like it really doesn't even seem that this weighs heavy on Light at all. Like there was no implications for his death. He just died stupidly.
I'll say I would say Light did show at least a little emotion. Like you could probably take it as, he's faking in front of people, but he actually did shed tears for his dad. Like, damn, bro, I actually did want you to live. Like, you could have just wrote his name.
Like, hey, nigga, tell me his name before you sign his name before he's like holding up his like fucking dead arm and shit. Like, Dad, just sign his name. Just you can't let him win. And it's just like, good Lord. So now, Nier, who's been in contact with L, is like, with Light, is like, nigga, I'm sure you're fucking Kira. Like, I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything in life. And they was like, oh fuck, now I gotta kill this motherfucker. And now I think who is it? Aizawa? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's now like suspecting?
Like, nah, fuck that.
He's been suspecting, and then like Nier is like, was there any a point where Light or whoever was Kira actually gave himself up, or was suspected of being Kira? And they're like, now that you mention it,
that nigga did do all that shit, and everything that he like. Now that you mention it, we have lost a lot of people following this shit for no reason. Either way, Light begins to use other people in this entire thing. We got Mikami, who is like low key, like this is a character introduced in the fourth quarter that I do not give a flying shit about. It could have been anyone, but he's like the most extreme of all Kira things. Like, he follows, he's devout fucking follower and all this other stuff. And then they used Takada, who was like his ex, and it was just who's a news anchor, and now he's just like, yo, I'm gonna be dating you right now. And then you get the funny dinner between Misa and Takada, where they're both fighting over at Light, who could give a shit about either one of them.
I think with what's her name, Mikami or Takada, I think he was a little bit more interested in her, but at the same time, the Death Note really like played a lot.
Hey,
one Death Note and then Misa.
Bro, he be talking about Misa so crazy. Like, oh gosh, you fucking idiot! I'll be like, damn,
just write the name down.
Just goddamn, trying to hand him some juice. He was just like, get the fuck out of here. Oh my God, he be tripping, man.
But she kind of gets off scot-free. I mean, she's relieved of all of her duties more than quite a bit into this damn thing, and just the dinner between them is funny. Like. I guess the show needed a little bit of levity compared to kind of everything that was going to happen. But then there's essentially Nero's like, we got to get to the point where we corner this motherfucker by any means necessary. Like, we've got to, without a shadow of a doubt, without any evidence, really do it. And I think that's the difference between kind of like Nier and L, is that I think Nier was a lot more focused on the end goal, whereas L, it was still kind of a game to him. Like, he maybe could have taken it a little bit more seriously. And I think if he reached there, I think him essentially doing so many different things, like going up to the school and trying to befriend him and all these other stuff like that, you realize Nier didn't do any of that. Nier was kind of really focused on like, he didn't expose his identity. He didn't all these other stuff to kind of like play mind games with him. He was just like, I think you're Kira. And we're now going to find out why or how or all this other stuff like that. That's just kind of like my difference between Nier and Light, or Nier and L.
I think with like I'm somewhat in agreement with you. I think the biggest thing for me though is like with L, I think he was trying to get into the mind of a killer a little bit more, or get into, the mind space of trying to understand at least for who Light is and how he could be such a how could he be this person? How could he be this type of person that could kill all these people in this manner and do these things? And he got close up and personal, understood his habits, started to learn his family a little bit more. And in the same vein, like L was very talented. He was talented at everything to the point where he would always beat Mello and Nier at games. They seen him. It seems like, they didn't show it, of course, because this is all probably stuff before L came into the main story, but he seemed like a mentor and big brother to them. So when it comes to like meeting up with Light, you kind of see like, okay, he's also just as talented as Light is. Like the tennis match is one thing, but them fighting each other and like doing hand to hand with the death chain together, you know what I'm saying? Like you would think that L couldn't do those type of things, but he's actually that talented. He does voiceovers on the phone to kind of like get people to do certain things and impersonate people, you know what I'm saying? And it's all without the deep fake technology, whereas with like Mello is one thing. He's more of the upfront and personal side of L, whereas Nier is like the mind. He's like a little bit more reserved, treating things as a game, trying to move the pieces around. So it's like they're two halves of what makes the complete L in that regard, in my opinion. But it's like
I
when it
think
comes to this.
no, keep
Go
going.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think what makes this battle between Light and Nier so frustrating is the fact that it doesn't have that like personable aspect that L and Light had. Like
Yeah.
it came from a point of like even L just was blatantly telling him like, hey, listen, I do think you're Kira, but them still kind of in a weird way building a budding friendship. Like the game felt more like okay, like you're in it. Like with this though, like I said, it just kind of felt that Nier was kind of handed the blueprint, and then he was just making these sudden deductions. Like even the point where when Takada's takes over as the new spokesperson for Kira, and now he's like, no, well, the Kira X or X Kira has to now be someone that's close to her, and then automatically he just deduces that it's what's the dude's name again?
Aizawa?
No, the other one that had the death note.
Mikami?
Yes, and then all of a sudden he deduces, like, Mikami must be the other one. Like there was no lead up, there was no deduction. It was just like, I have this question, now it's immediately answered. Like there was no journey to get to that answer. There was no anything to get there. It was just kind of like, must be somebody that knows her and is close to her. And then now all of a sudden, all of these videos of him is all popped up, and it's like once again, it's just all these answers just felt so rushed. They just rushed to the answer. Like,
You know what? I would blame Light on that, because it's also like, at certain points they had video recordings of everything, and now Light is still the main suspect, but now you gotta only do audio wiretap, and it's like, bro, that's weird. How come we can't have cameras? Like, how would L or how would Kira know that they're having these meetings? How would he be able to see them if it wasn't Light? You know what I'm saying? So like, it's also on Light's fault that things kind of played out this way, because people are going to suspect you if we can do one thing, we've shown to do one thing, and now it's not able to be done. Like, to the point, what's his name? Is it Aizawa, where he had to do the little notebook trick to kind of figure out, they're writing notes to each other, like,
Yeah, he's just
so
like, they're moving notes around and shit like that.
yeah.
And then he goes to Nier and he's like, I think they're writing notes, and Nier's like, don't get involved, nigga. Like, I'm wrapping this shit up, like gift wrap. You know what I'm saying? I got things moving. We got computers Putin. You know what I'm saying? we rocking here. So Mello's death, which comes kind of, again, this is a couple episodes of him being kind of like gone. He gets the death note taken from him, and he's kind of like, he kind of has to like deal with it. Kidnaps. He's suddenly on a motorcycle. Kidnaps Miss Takata, and essentially like puts her in the back of a truck, all this other stuff like that. But Miss Takata, she has ownership of a few pages of the death note herself. So as they're driving, he writes her name down. She writes his name down, and he's dead, just very unceremoniously. It's almost as if like, let's get this character out the show. We're wrapping this up. We need a way to kill him. We need a way to get him out of the show. So they kill him pretty quickly. And eventually, is it her who writes the note to have? Well, we discovered that all after the fact. But she calls Light in a hurry. She's like, Light, I need someone help, please. I'm here and I'm naked in a truck and I don't know where I am. And he's just like, did you do what I told you to do? You know what I'm saying? It's real. Snoop would say his pimp hand is strong. Did you do what I tell you to do? Yes, but then do what I told you to do after that. And then he hangs up and she's like, and then, she also gets written in the death note. I think it's they reveal it in the end. I forget who writes it. No, it's Mikami, who writes it down. And I think Light believes that it's him, but it's really Mikami who writes it down, and that ends up being the kind of fatal flaw in the end.
Yeah, they both wrote it down.
Yeah,
there was
to set the whole place on fire and then kill herself. It was like, god damn, real overkill here. Like, you couldn't kill Misa for 40 episodes, but we can make sure to kill this other girl.
Ain't no one shout to Misa.
Misha just living her best life. Yeah,
listen, I can't imagine.
She could have died way earlier.
I couldn't imagine being her next boyfriend.
I would have just invited her to the warehouse just for vibes. It's like, Misa, come on. Let's figure out how this all ends since you're a part of it for so long. They agree to a face-to-face on January 28th, J. Cole's birthday. And they want to meet at an abandoned warehouse. And to be honest with you, this is the most, I think this ending, these 2 episodes are more so what this series kind of legit felt like in the beginning. Because it's these 2 episodes that really bring the intensity to a high. They meet, they have the death note. He reveals that he's like, Light is Kira, and Nier is like, someone's gonna look in a matter of moments and write all of our names down. And sure enough, it's Mikami looking like a damn weirdo, bro. He's just like peeking through the door, and he's like, he's doing his shit with I've never met a nigga who wrote like him. Because these pen strokes is crazy.
Delete.
Right. Delete. You know what I'm saying? Writes their names down. Eventually.
Wasn't that was Chris Jericho, right?
No, that was Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy area. I'm like, which wrestler was doing that shit?
But
couldn't remember for a second.
He writes the names down, and they're like it's like, I can't wait. Like, he's like not trying to crack a smile. He's not trying to make the block hot, even though the block is as hot as it's ever gonna be. It's like 40 seconds, everybody's about to die. And sure enough, 40 seconds passes, and he's like, Nier's like, hey, Mikami, you could come out now. Pull up. We got something going on here. And sure enough, Mikami pulls up, and he's like, hey, no one's dead. And you're like, we actually switched out the notebook. And they try to do a double fake thing because Light is like, I knew you would switch out the notebook, so I also switched out the notebook. And it's like, we switched out both notebooks, nigga. So in case you were wondering, I knew that you knew. This is like how the metagame in Pokemon is that I know you're going to set traps. So before that, I'm going to put up, you know what I'm saying, this thing, or I know I'm going to use Rapid Spin because you're about to set a trap in the first turn. So it's a hat on top of a hat trying to beat him to it. Either way, they cornered him. Hey, man, you're Kira. fuck out of here, bro. And it's almost as if he couldn't wait. Because the way he immediately turns into a raging crackhead is out of this. It's like the inside of him finally gets to be himself for the first time, and he's crazed and he's a lunatic and he's all this other stuff like that. Like, you got to see the real him. And low-key, this is like, I talked about this last week about also the reality show Traitors. This is kind of like that. It kind of ends the similar way, even though that one was actual reality show. But I'm pretty sure neither have any idea about each other. But this low-key ends up the same way. It's like, we got you, bro. Light tries to, pull some things. They shoot him.
Yeah.
It's Kira. You're supposed to kill that motherfucker. I ain't like this at all, bro.
And it's funny because it's like, it's the other guy who was like, I forgot his name.
Matsuda or something.
Yeah,
right?
Matsuda. Like, he's the one that's been joking the entire time. He's like the rookie on the police force when they first start and everything. And everybody's like, oh, you're not the smartest guy or whatever. And it comes to him shooting Light first, being quick on the trigger before he could write something down. He's like, bro, what was all of this for? What was your dad for? And then Light's like, bro, my dad was a dumbass. And he's like, oh, heck.
He's like, you asshole. How could you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's just walking around with his hand bloody and shit like that. And then, I forget, he tries to go for something else. And then they shoot him in his other hand. And I'm just like, bruh, are none of y'all going to kill this motherfucker? Like, what is going on here? Like, I've never, again, if Death Note was black, Kira would have been dead first shot.
Oh yeah, no, they're shooting straight for his
30
head.
episodes ago. 30 episodes ago. They wouldn't have needed as much evidence to prove it as they felt like they did. As soon as they
would have forced everything. So it would be like, oh, he's involved in the RICO case, drug related activities. They would have tried to pin him with every single charge.
We got DNA evidence of your shorty, girl. Come on, man. It's over. It's over. Then they let him escape. I was like, this is white privilege.
Man, listen, it's a bunch of hogwash at the end. Just a bunch of...
Nah, it's definitely... I didn't like the end because he got to die peacefully, essentially.
I wouldn't say peacefully, but they did say in the beginning, like, Ryuk would be the one to kill him. So, like...
First of all, Ryuk also is like, they got you now. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's no help to this entire situation. He's literally there for the jokes and the vibes. Ryuk definitely said that he would be the one to kill him, but also compared to all of his victims who seemingly have like gone in various ways, I guess L gets to die somewhat peacefully because he knows that he's right. But everybody else, bro, heart attack out on the flight of stairs. Naomi her body wasn't found for months. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did not deserve as peaceful and as well animated of a death as it deserved to be a lot more gruesome. It deserved to be, and no one actually got to kill him except I guess Ryu got to kill him. But like, then the cops are out in the thing and they're like, where is he? And I'm like, y'all lost Kira? Imagine if he lived.
Right.
Like, come on. He could have transferred the notebook again and then you would have lost another. Like, I was like, bro, I don't know. That isn't my major beef with the ending. Realistically, I think the last two episodes are pretty good. I just feel like he deserved a lot more of a gruesome ending, fitting of all of his victims and stuff like that. But either way, the show ends.
Well, it ends like one of the rules saying he can't go to heaven or hell. So like, that's another thing. Like, he dies and he's just dead. So
nigga, it is what it is. Shout out to America for also folding in the middle.
Oh yeah, I don't know if that was fake George Bush that they had, but
it had to be.
That shit was great. That shit was amazing.
Hey man,
fake George Bush was great. He folded quickly.
Either way, it ends. I'm not mad at Death Note. I think the second half could have been way more thought out, or they could have let it end at episode 17. I wouldn't have cared if.
Listen, I agree. I'm not gonna say.
Granted, they could have discovered him all after the fact and be like, "Oh, he killed L. He must be Kira."
The fact that this took over 6 years too. This had a 6-year run.
So that's the other thing about this shit, right? It's the fact that one, it took 6 years. Y'all have to be the worst police force investigation.
This is what we're saying, bro. This is what we're saying.
Y'all should have opened up everything. If niggas is still dying and y'all got L on the case, technically yeah, L, but light on the case and nothing's getting solved, bro. Like, come on now.
Bro, like, people still dying and y'all just out here. They would have shut down the whole police force in America if people continued dying after 6 years. They're like, what are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is to me, this whole anime is like funny. I mean, it's an anime. It is what it is. But again, first part, I think does a lot of great stuff. Second part doesn't. The ending, solid. A few questions I have. Is Light Yagami one of the greatest killers in anime history?
Off of sheer numbers.
Yeah.
Off of numbers, yes.
That was his after school activity, bro. Like, I'm about to kill 100 people today, you know?
Would you watch this show if it was rebooted? Even though I guess it has been in multiple variations. If there was an official, we're doing this again, we're kind of reanimating it, and we're coming up with an alternative ending, would you watch it again?
If they're giving me an alternative ending, yes. I'll watch it just to see the alternative ending. Because I agree with you in terms of I don't hate Death Note. I don't want anyone walking away. Like, overall, I'll give it like a strong...
Don't say it's strong.
A strong...
I'm not going to give it a strong.
A strong 7.
You're like flirting with 6 and 7, I can tell.
It's like 6.7.
Okay.
I'll give it a strong 6.7. I don't hate it. It's good. But I think that the ending and kind of the shenanigans that happens after L's death takes me out of it a little bit. I feel that a lot of the storytelling and the things that they've done with those two characters, a lot of stuff was kind of... There was definitely it kind of took a couple steps back after that. Yeah. Also thinking that, like, Chief Yagami being the crappy police chief that he was a little aggravating. But no, if they were like, yo, we're rebooting this, we're gonna reanimate it, and it's not even like it's badly animated, but give it a little bit of, sharpening and flair, you can get a little bit more twinkle in the eye, and they give us an alternative ending, I'll be like, okay, cool. I'd watch it. Now, would I watch the original again? No, I'm okay. I'm good. No need to run this back.
AD.
I would, simply because it's Death Note, but I would probably wait until I see a tweet that says, "Oh, they changed this part," and I'll be like, "All right."
You don't want to get Promised Neverland. I feel you.
Yeah, I'm not going for it.
Let me see what other. Have any of you? Well, I'm not going to say LJ. AD, have you read the manga?
Not the original manga. I've only read the one-shot spinoff with Donald Trump in it.
Do you feel like this would be better off as a anime? Do you think this is better adapted as an anime or better as a manga? Kind of like reading through it. Manga's only 3 volumes. It's kind of crazy.
I feel like it probably the art, because I like the artist that does the the work with Death Note. I've read their other series with Bakuman and Platinum Men, so a lot of the paneling and art is really good. So I think just reading it, and even the one-shot spinoff itself was they do good work there. So maybe as a manga, it's probably a better read.
If there was any anime character who would be Kira and make this more interesting, who would you choose? Any anime character?
What's his name? Lelouch from Code Geass.
Ooh, that would be a good one. He'd go crazy.
That's like the immediate one.
I'm choosing maybe Norman from The Promised Neverland.
That's a good one too.
That is a good one. You know what? Fuck it. We were talking about Hunter x Hunter earlier. Giving it to Crollo.
Ooh, okay.
I'd like that.
As if he needed any more ammunition at this point.
If he need any more books.
Like, well, just to kill you is probably like, that's not fun. Well, you know what?
No, what? Fuck it. I'll give it to Hisoka. Let's get real.
Oh, that's nasty.
Let's get real freaky work with it.
Nasty work. Hold up.
Kill all the adults so you can get to have his way with kids. Either way, this is the end. We're not covering the live action thing. I have no intention. It's funny how much times I guess they tried to make live actions to it, because this is clearly a show that could be a live action show, and actually beyond the scope of anime could be an interesting show. But again, the second part, everything I've seen about the live adaptation is they don't adapt the second part. They either adapt L, either dying and winning, or they kill Light, or one of those things, but they don't really adapt the second part.
It's so weird, man, because it's like the second part could have been a whole lot better. Like, I don't even mind the fact that there was a second part, but they could have introduced Nier.
They could have not killed. They could have not killed L. It was really my biggest thing. Like, don't kill the person who. The most interesting kind of like foil to this. You could weaken him. You could debilitate him. You could make him, knock him out for a couple chapters, and it was like, oh god, we need L, but he's come down with, West Nile or something along those lines. You could have done that. West Nile would have been crazy. But we could have done that, but I don't know about straight out killing him. With that said, we're wrapping up this chapter on Death Note. No pun intended. I don't know what we're going to talk about next time, LJ.
I don't know. I need a Death Note and Batman crossover. Let Batman be the one try to catch.
Oh nah, give it to the Riddler.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be kind of cool.
I need
Batman.
the Death Note Batman crossover.
People don't really know Batman's identity, right?
Some do.
Who's gonna pay for that info?
It's a big price. I get it. With that said, thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, we'll be off. We're doing 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, so we'll actually be off next week. But in 2 weeks, we'll be back. We'll let you guys know on Twitter and all our social media platforms what we'll either be talking about or what we'll be covering over the next couple of weeks as we barrel towards our year-end list. Also, you didn't hear this from me, but Aberti has also told me that another podcast that frequently does on this platform is coming back that may have a name that includes lie and lie in it. Maybe coming back pretty soon. I would say relatively soon. I would say stay tuned for that one for sure. But thank you guys for tuning in. And before the cops come and get me, before Chief Yagami officially comes and takes me away.
He's known for arresting the wrong son.
I bet he arrests me faster than he arrests Kira. I'll tell you that. You know what I'm saying? With that said, thank you guys for tuning into The Lookout. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.